much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. Today, on this episode, we have Mary McGuinness. How are you today, Mary?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing so well. And Mary has just released several new singles within the past month or so. And we'll go backwards a little bit and start with your most recent release that you had. So tell me a little bit about Touchstone, the song. Tell me a little bit about the writing process first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I had the idea for a song called Touchstone, and it was really because I had moved to Nashville like a little over a year ago, and I was still finding my feet. And so it's about kind of what makes you feel anchored, what makes you feel grounded. And for me, that's always music and, family, and no matter where you are, if you're displaced, or I think for everyone, it can be different things. So I wrote the song with Holly Hamill, and it's funny, we reversed states. She now moved to LA, and I and I moved to Nashville. So we're like, what? We were going to sing together. He was like, I'm in LA. So, and I released it, and it's really funny. The Jen Gunderman, we kind of went for this homey feel, and Jen Gunderman plays all the keyboards on my record, but she plays the
Awesome.
accordion. And then she shared that the accordion was the same accordion used to entertain Al Capone in Chicago. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like,
Wow.
woo! So when because I love all like the Untouchables and all the stuff from that era, and I was just like, wow, so
Blown
fabulous.
away. Wow.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible to hear all that. So tell me, and this new single that you just released, it's coming, I guess, in a huge compilation that you have coming out January 26th, which is your album titled Shadowcatcher. So and you also have a couple other singles that go along with that. How does Touchstone, Once in a Blue Moon, Double Vision, those three that you've recently released, how do they all kind of work together and collaborate in the full, I guess, collection of songs that you're putting together on the album?
Well, that's a really good question. And I would say that they're all, they're different. They're like little snapshots of different things that I was going through as I was writing. Um, it was a very tumultuous year, and it was basically just things that I'd always wanted to get out, and that I believe in. Once in a Blue Moon is really influenced by, growing up with my grandparents, and growing up with a lot of, influenced by a lot of older music that they played in the house, which I didn't always appreciate when I was growing up, and now I do. So I kind of wanted to write something that was a little more standard, but then,
Mhm.
got to put the pedal steel in because that's like my favorite instrument in the world, and then it makes it
Wow.
kind of that country kind of, and that 70s country, which is really my favorite kind of country. And then Double Vision, you know, um, it was really inspired by something that happened to me years ago. And I don't know if I have time for a story, but
Yes,
it
please. Absolutely.
you know, and I don't know why I didn't think to write a song about it until now, but I guess this was the right time. And, years ago, I was working in New York City, and and I was waitressing, and I took the subway home late at night. I fell asleep on the subway, and I took the subway to the end of the line,
Wow.
woke up in the car, and there was no one there. And I get out, and the whole platform is desolate. So I was standing there kind of frozen, not knowing what to do, because also I looked out, and I'm not faint of heart, but it was totally not safe to cross the street. Like I was
Yeah.
like not feeling good about that, and I had no money on me even to get home. I really didn't know what I was going to do. And all of a sudden, a man appears next to me, and he's in an orange construction vest. I have no idea where he came from because there had been no one there. And he said, "You know, you look like you need help." And I said, "I do. I don't know how I'm going to get home." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'll just call you a gypsy cab." And a gypsy cab, like regular cabs, wouldn't come to that area. They call them gypsy cabs in New York. And what seemed like a couple of minutes, like there was a gypsy cab in front of me, and I said, "You know, can I get your name, your address? Can I send you a check?" It's before Venmo. And he's like, "You know, don't worry about it." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm getting in, and I turn around and kind of say goodbye and wave, and there was no one there.
Oh my gosh. Huh.
There was no one there. And I can only take it as this person who all of a sudden, I mean, there had been no one, and all of a sudden there was someone next to me, and I think about, you know, and then I go, it still blows my mind. So anyway, I think of things like that. It's brought me a lot of comfort in my life, to feel like we're not alone, and you know, and to feel like when we really need help, that I'm going to get choked up here.
Oh my
That
gosh.
that it will come in, you know, sometimes totally unexpected ways. So that's really where the inspiration for that song came from.
You know, and I'm going to tie this into a little bit of your bio. When I was doing my research, as I do, um, I saw one of the mantras of your life is that miracles are everywhere. And hearing that story, such a compelling story about the song, I feel like that was maybe one of the miracles of that day in that moment for you. You know, it's one of those things where this person just shows up at the right place, the right time, and takes care of you. And how passionate, or how incredible is it that, you know, sometimes the universe can take care of us in ways that we didn't know we needed. How awesome to hear that story. You know, okay, and then doing a little more deep dive into your bio too, I wanted to talk a little bit about um you living in New York, and kind of going through that timeline of you being a musician in general, because one of the things that piqued my interest when I was reading through all about you, was hearing that you went to the summer program for opera at Tanglewood. Um, I'm a music teacher by day. And so, you know, one of those, I know that it's a very prestigious program. I would love to know more about, you know, how your opera career and how, I guess, you being a musician this way through church choir kind of helped influence your music now as you're making more and preparing for this album.
That's that's also a very interesting question. You know, I think I first of all, my high school music teacher was really instrumental, in really taking me under her wing, and really encouraging me to pursue music. You know, I grew up in a house that, you know, music was not considered a real job or a real vocation. And she really encouraged me. And because of that, I applied to schools and did all that. But, you know, I got a scholarship to Tanglewood. There was no way we, you know, could have afforded it otherwise. And I left the day after graduation. And it was incredibly eye opening for me because it was, you know, everything from meeting all the very uh, well-known conductor Seiji Izawa, you know, all the people that were coming to sing, and then, you know, you had like James Taylor giving concerts at night. But that whole area is really beautiful and very artistic. You know, Jacob's Pillow is there. It's all the ballet. There's so much art. It was just an incredible, you know, especially if you haven't grown up with that, it is really eye-opening and magical. And I appreciated it so much. It was really one of the best summers of my life. Yeah. And I guess the second part of that question.
Yes, I
Going,
threw a
yeah.
lot in that
So,
question
yeah.
all at once. Sorry, I was just so excited to talk about all of this with you.
I think, I originally went into classical voice, and then, over time, and it's been a very long and winding road through all kinds of different I love all kinds of music, and I love to sing all kinds of music. And so I think then it went to Broadway, and then it went to and then I'm always amazed by people who are like, I've been writing songs since I'm like 7. And I'm like, that's amazing. I never thought that I was a writer, and, but I always kept a journal, and I started writing. And as, you start to evolve, and I realized that I wanted to write songs, and I started teaching myself guitar and going to open mics, and you know, trying to write songs. And I think for me, it's been a very long process for me to evolve as a songwriter. You're always trying to get better. There's so many incredible songwriters to look up to, and I just keep trying to get better and to push myself. And I feel like this record is really a collection of songs that it was a very unique snapshot of my life this past year. And I don't think I could ever duplicate it with, not that I would try, but there's a certain feeling. We laughed so much. The musicians laughed so much. I feel like all that got absorbed into the music. It was such a light of my year. And I just feel that it's just really speaks of like who I am, and all kind of different thoughts and feelings on different things in my life thus
And
far.
I love to hear that. No, yes, absolutely. And I love to hear that. And you talked a little bit about some of the music that you grew up with, like the 1970s country. And in hearing the singles that you've released so far off the album, I can hear the influences. Honestly, I'm trying to think which one. It might have been Once in a Blue Moon. Reminds me a little bit of the Carpenters, and just that Karen Carpenter sound almost. Just the nostalgia is just peeling out of my speakers whenever I listen to these songs. So I loved hearing the songs off the album already. What if you had to
I
like
love that. I think
pinpoint?
she's one
Yeah.
of my favorite singers. So I'm sure that somehow like comes
Yay.
through.
Okay.
Love her
It
voice.
definitely
Yeah.
does. Yes, that definitely does translate to me. So, okay, if you were to pinpoint a couple other, I would say influences or even just, certain things here and there, who who are some other musical influences that you think that you've really taken into account throughout your career as a musician as a whole? Because, like you've said earlier, from classical voice, Broadway, and now, this new album and the sound that you have with it, I feel like there's tons of influence there. So I'd love to hear
Oh,
some more about that.
it's like fun. I just go through phases where I'll just listen to different kinds of music. I really love all kinds of music. So, I mean, of course, it starts with classical, and I think like standards. With my grandparents, they weren't cool enough to listen to 70s country. It was more like big band music, but it was
Yeah.
like Frank
Oh, yeah.
Sinatra and things like
Oh,
that.
the
And
good
I
stuff.
think like
Oh, yeah.
Roy Orbison, I love the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles. My aunt had a
Mm-hmm.
huge vinyl collection. I mean, I have to say, like, probably of anything, it's would always have to be the Beatles. That is kind of like the foundation, you know. But I love, I mean, a lot of those 70s artists. And then, but I also love like Prince, and love George
Yeah.
Michael, and I love like Hozier now, and Ray LaMontagne. I just went and saw Sunday Night John Paul White from the Civil Wars. He was incredible. It's,
Wow.
and
Hmm.
I went and saw Steven Sanchez a few weeks ago at the Ryman, and he's amazing. He kind of pulls from that like 50s thing. So I think it's really, I love Billie Eilish. It's like, I think it's just about good music is good music. And I just really, um, there are certain singers that I really love, like Marvin Gaye is probably one of my all-time favorite voices, Linda Ronstadt,
Mm-hmm.
Emmylou Harris. I love the Flying Burrito Brothers. I love that whole, I'm always like, oh, I wish I lived in that psychedelic era, but I probably, wouldn't have made it. I probably wouldn't have survived. I don't know. But there's so much great music, and yeah, I've been influenced by so many great artists. Yeah.
That's incredible to hear, and I'd love to hear the diversity of just of different things on your playlist, so to speak. So, before we first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show today and telling us a little bit more about your music and about yourself. Because audience members out there, if you haven't checked out Mary McGuinness, please go check out her website right now and read her entire bio, just of an
It's
amazing
really
story. I no, but it was so informational to me for like this interview and my preparation to give me more to 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 insight into your life. Honestly, it was absolutely inspiring to me, and so that's why I feel like I hopped on the call with you, and I was like a little fan struck because I was
cool.
just so excited to hear more about you, and I'm even more excited now to hear the rest of the album, which comes out on January 26th. So before we hop off the call today, is there, other than the album, is there anything else that you would like to promote, or even if you'd like to give out shout outs to anyone out who might be listening?
Well, I have my video for Double Vision is premiering with the Americana UK on the 14th, and I directed that video. I directed my Once in a Blue Moon video, and then my friend Paul Buchholz, who was also my bass player, did all the cinematography, and I was really thrilled about that. And that's been a really fun adventure directing. You know, I started out directing a song washing Peter Gabriel cover, "Washing of the Water." I did on my iPhone, and it got like a good reception. And I was like, oh, so anyway, so I have that coming on the 14th, and in the new year, I'll definitely be playing a lot, and I look forward to traveling a lot. I got wings on my feet. I cannot wait to go, and yeah, I'm very excited. So thank you for having me.
These are some amazing things that are going to happen in the future for you. Hopefully, I'll see you out on the road sometime this year because I would love to see you perform live, and I can't wait for the album to come out. Thank you
Me
so
too.
much for coming on the show today.
Thank
Listeners
you,
out there,
Leigh.
check out, oh, of course. Listeners out there, make sure that you check out Mary McGuinness and her album dropping on January 26th. And be sure to listen in and hear Shadowcatcher, um, Touchstone, Once in a Blue Moon, Double Vision, and especially check out that new video for Double Vision that's dropping soon. Thanks y'all so much. Have a good day.